This podcast is sponsored by Picmonic. In 2011, two medical students came up with the ingenious idea to combine medical education with unforgettable characters and ridiculously memorable stories. Featuring over 35,000 high-yield facts and graphics, Picmonic has helped over 600,000 students improve exam scores and perform better clinically. Picmonic has resources for pre-med and medical students, as well as other healthcare professions. Check out the show notes for a link to their website. Mention the podcast when you subscribe. With Picmonic, you can study less, but remember more.
The Black Doctors Podcast highlights the stories of minority professionals with the goal of inspiring others. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and share with others, because the next generation can't be what they don't see. Tune in every Monday to hear our stories told by us.
Hello and welcome back to the Black Doctors Podcast. I'm Steven, your host. I'm so excited to be speaking today with Dr. Amber Robbins, MBA. She is a family medicine physician, and she currently practices at Rochester Regional Health, where she is the director of their graduate medical education, diversity, equity, and inclusion program, among other duties that she fulfills. Dr. Robbins is also the founder of Sanxtuary, which we'll definitely be getting into later on in this episode. Dr. Robbins, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So excited. So you are joining the long list of Xavier graduates that I've had on the show. How was your experience down in Louisiana?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm from Louisiana, believe it or not, even though I'm practicing in New York.
Oh, wow.
But yes, I loved my experience at Xavier. I think even when I was there, I didn't realize the magnitude of how much Xavierites are all over in regards to being doctors and pharmacists and just kind of doing so many things in healthcare. But yeah, it was a great experience there. I have great friendships from Xavier and a great network of people to really talk to about different things. So yeah, it is one of the better decisions that I've made in my life to go there.
I'm going to have to charge them for advertising it at this rate.
Well, the formula works. We made it, right?
It
so
does.
That proves something.
So when you went to Xavier, was your plan initially to become a physician?
Yes. So my sister actually went to Xavier before me, and I was aware of their how they are able to get minorities into medicine, black people into medicine. So I was aware of that. And honestly, all of us who were in my group, for the most part, wanted to go into medicine. So all of those who were in my friend group. I applied to medical school really early, though. I applied to medical school during my second semester of my freshman year, and I was a part of the early assurance program at the University of Rochester. So the first semester of my sophomore year, I was flown up to Rochester, New York, and I had my my interview at the University of Rochester with all the other applicants. And by the end of that semester, I found out that I got in. So yeah. So I knew where I was going to medical school fairly early as well. So not just only that I wanted to be a physician, but where I would become a physician later.
It's probably the only way you can get somebody from Louisiana up to Rochester, New York.
They're sneaky, very sneaky.
So tell me about this early assurance program. Is it still in existence?
Yes, it is. We actually have quite a few early assurance programs that are connected with Xavier. University of Rochester is one of them, and it's one of our more stronger pipelines. So when I did it, it was a second year of existence. So I was the only one from Xavier to go to University of Rochester, a part of my class. But we've had as many as 6 to 7 students within a medical school class from Xavier who have been a part of the early assurance program.
Wow. So once you had that, you flew up for the interview and then you completed the rest of your time at Xavier?
Yes, I completed the rest of my time at Xavier, had to maintain a GPA, a certain GPA. And then between my junior and senior year, I also did a summer program at the University of Rochester. So it was an intro to medical school and an intro to Rochester, even though Rochester is so different in the summertime versus the wintertime.
Gotcha.
So they were smart on doing that. But yeah, it was a great way for me to understand what medical school was like, understand what the environment would be like, learn about the teachers, different students, be able to create a network up here in Rochester, where I am living now. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe.
I see now how that happened.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they're sneaky. Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. And
Yeah.
I had no idea a lot of these programs existed that I've been able to learn about through talking to people like yourself.
Yeah, there are a lot of them. My husband actually was a part of a program like that too at Hampton, between Hampton and Boston University. So it's quite a few that exist.
Fantastic. So you left Xavier, the warmth of Louisiana. You moved up to Rochester for medical school. How was that transition for you?
At first, it was fine. It felt like I was doing the summer program all over again. And then the winter hit and I was in my little kitty heels, slipping and sliding in the snow because I never really saw that much snow before. So that adjustment was hard. And also being one of the very few minorities in my class was an adjustment, coming from an HBCU, who it's mostly all of us. And you can have so many different conversations about being a minority and the struggles. When I came to a predominantly white institution, those conversations definitely changed. But I was able to figure out how to really play the game and be able to survive and thrive.
When you say play the game, give us a specific if you could.
Yeah. So I recognize that I wouldn't be at the top of my class like I was when I was an undergrad. I realized that I could not put a lot of my value into how I perform, because honestly, in medical school, you're just trying. A lot of times it felt like I was surviving. I don't know if it was like that for other people, but for most minorities, it kind of feels like that. Even the ones who are doing really well, they feel like we're about to get kicked out.
Yes.
So for me, I leaned on other areas that I knew I wanted to also develop. So for me, I began to write in a journal called the Journal for Minority Medical Students. And I just randomly kind of saw the magazine, the journal up in our admissions office. And I was like, oh, I want to try that. So I leaned on that and I was able to get published and have my own column. And that led me to then have a certain pathway within medical school. So mine was humanities. So I was pretty strong in humanities and writing and reading. And then I also did a bit of teaching because my passion was to really push diversity in medicine. So even though I wasn't at the top of the class at the end, I still graduated with honors in 2 areas.
Wow.
And so I always say that, if you find your lane and you find what really drives you and what you're passionate about, really nobody can beat you at that, and you would automatically shine. So I was able to figure that out, that my strengths were, yes, in practicing medicine, but there were so many other things that I could do, and so many other ways that I could express myself and be able to teach patients, teach my colleagues. And I'm thankful that I had mentors to also guide me in that. And later on, I found out I really like business. So, yes. So it's just trying to find who you are. I think I'm grateful that I was able to really hone into those type of skills. You need to be diverse in medicine. You can't be just a one-note wonder.
Absolutely. And it's so important to remind ourselves that our net worth is not tied up in that letter grade we're getting in school.
Right. Yeah. Because we're taught that it is. And so you get to medical school and you're like, wait a minute.
It can't be, because it's not going to work out.
Nope.
So at what point did you buy your first real jacket? I was up in DC. I struggled for quite a ways into winter before I actually buckled down and bought a jacket. You knew what you're getting into?
Yes. So I bought it, I would say, maybe the fall of my first year. And it became a tradition of what we would do for all of our Xavier graduates who would then matriculate, to make sure that they had the right jacket and the right boots. Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. It's the little things.
Yeah. which become big things.
Absolutely. So Dr. Robbins, as you completed medical school, which is awesome that you had this other passion you're developing in journalism and humanities, what led you to pursue family medicine?
Yeah, so for me, it kind of fit into what I was trying to do. So I realized that I didn't want to just do one thing in medicine. And some specialties, even though I was on surgical specialties and they basically said you need to go into surgery because you have the skills, I knew that I wouldn't be able to do, or I felt as if at that time I wouldn't be able to do all of these other things. I knew I just didn't want to practice clinical medicine. I wanted to be able to advocate in different ways and all of those things. So family medicine really kind of lended to that, lended to my interest in women's health, lended to my interest in psychiatry. It also allowed me to talk with patients and be able to expose younger people who look like me to go into medicine, because of that touch point. So it was a natural fit. At first, I wasn't sure because we didn't really have a strong rotation with family medicine. But as I went along and I saw, okay, I see my many interests and what I want to do, it kind of came to me. At first, it was OBGYN. I will be transparent because I think it's important for people to know. Even though I excelled in medical school, I didn't match. I matched into family medicine. I didn't match initially, let's say that. So I went for OBGYN, and then I soaped during that week, and I matched into family medicine. I actually had an anesthesia interview. I almost did that too. But during my intern year, I actually found that family medicine fit everything that I wanted to do, which was weird because you hear people say that the match actually does work for people who may not necessarily know exactly where they want to go. And for me, that was what happened. It actually worked out. That is exactly what I wanted to do in the end. So it's kind of weird how that happens. And so I always try to motivate people and encourage people if they do go through that process and they go through that, not to think that you're not good or that you aren't great at what you do. It just may mean that it's not the right fit. And you may not have gotten the exposure that you may have needed to make a decision one way or the other.
Yeah, that's huge, especially these days because things are changing and things are more.
More people aren't matching.
Oof, yeah,
and more people. It's basically us. A lot of us aren't matching.
Yeah.
So,
but keep your head up. Everything happens for a reason, and have faith, believe it's going to work out.
Yeah, and reach out for help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, at what point did you decide to pursue an MBA?
So this is funny. So when I was having my soul searching moment during my intern year, which is like, who has time for that? I actually thought about a couple of things. First, that medicine would not be an equation for me, meaning that you do 1 + 1 = 2. That is not the field of medicine for everyone. Some people, it works out like that, where you do certain things and you get certain results. So I knew early on, I didn't want to put all of my eggs in one basket. So I started talking to my attendings about business stuff, and they were confused because they were like, well, you're just in residency. What are you doing? Why are you talking about okay, how do you run the hospital and how do these things work? And why are we making certain decisions with insurance? And maybe we can do or tweak this instrument to make it work better. And then, wouldn't that be a great idea? And wouldn't that be another source of income? So I would have all of these conversations with my attendings. And the one day that I remember was when I was in the OR with one of my OBGYN attendings. And he was also the chief quality officer for the hospital. And I told him that I possibly would be interested in something like that. And he told me that I should get my MBA. And I thought he was crazy because he said I should get my MBA while I was a resident.
Oh my.
So I told him, okay, well, I'll consider, possibly. But then the next rotation that I had, which was my last rotation as an intern, It was in the ICU. My attending was in his mid-30s. He just got back from medical leave. He had been diagnosed with lung cancer, and he was, just trying to get his life back together and recover. And I talked to him about my interests because, I don't know why I was talking to everybody about this, but I was talking to him about it. And he said, well, why not now? You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if this is something that you want to do, then why not do it now? And plus, you don't have a life anyway in residency. So why not add on some business classes? So I applied during that rotation. I applied to LSU Shreveport for my MBA, and I was able to do it virtually, I guess you would say now, through their program. So while I was going between my second and third year, I was doing my MBA. And literally the same day that I graduated residency was the same day that I finished my MBA. So I was able to graduate with both of them by the time I finished. Yeah. And it wasn't that I wasn't busy. I just wanted to look at medicine differently. Mm-hmm.
I think you're the first person I've met that completed an MBA during residency. So hats off. That's impressive.
Thank you. Well, it changes the way that you look at medicine. I actually had my clinic as one of my, I gave them a business consult. And
wait a minute.
It's so funny. I'm laughing because the medical director, I was telling them, okay, we can do these different things with communication and how we're able to have the office function. And he wanted me to do it as a resident project. And I said, no, I'm not doing this as a resident project. I'm a business consultant.
Okay.
This is something you pay me for. So obviously that conversation stopped. So just saying.
Wow.
So it changes the way you think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think your story, because it kind of diverges in some ways that I haven't heard from a lot of other people, right? This MBA during residency, and then you went on after finishing residency to complete a fellowship, which I think is so cool. And I knew had to have existed, but you actually found it and you did it. You completed a fellowship in health and media at Georgetown University. So first, how did you find out that was even a thing?
Again, my intern year, I started searching.
You're soul searching.
Yes, because when something like that happens to you and the bottom drops out, you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I really want to do? How do I really make this career where I want it to go? Because obviously some things may not have worked how I wanted to, but maybe it was because I wasn't looking in the right direction. So I started looking. My eyes were wide open. And so I found out about it during my intern year. I later, it was brought back to my attention. I did a ABC News rotation during residency. So it was a 1 month rotation where I was a part of the medical unit at ABC, and we were able to report on different things that were coming up with different studies. And at that time, it was Zika was a hot topic. So from there, they also were connected with Georgetown. So one of their former fellows worked with ABC in New York. So it kind of naturally was a fit that I could look in there. I found initially about the program on the AAFP website, where they have both traditional and non-traditional fellowships. So I found it there, and it just kind of worked out in a lot of ways, because my sister was also in the area. So It was one way to be with family too.
It was a 1-year program?
It was a 1-year program, non-ACGME. So I was working as an attending, getting paid as a resident.
Oh, no.
But
what happened to those MBA negotiating skills?
This is also knowing that you're going to gain some skills that can help you along the way, that help you stand out. So yeah, that was non-negotiable. It's like either you take it or you don't.
Take it or leave it.
Yes. So I was able to work with, my main site was at PBS NewsHour. So I was able to get behind the scenes there, work with their digital, so their online platform, and also work with their broadcast. So I was on PBS NewsHour. I was behind the scenes doing some work like a producer, being able to interview people on their social media, I was able to do a lot of things, write for their digital, and also write for other places like Huffington Post. And I had articles at ABC News. So I was able to do all those things and really create a stronger foundation in journalism and media.
Yeah. So was it broken down into different rotations or different blocks?
No, so when I was there, I had 2 days where I would work at PBS NewsHour. I had 2 days where I would be working as an attending, and half of the day, half a day a week, I would be working with residents. So I was supervising them. And then I also did a couple of weeks of inpatient where I would supervise residents in that way too. So it was faculty development too. So that helped me along the way.
Gotcha. And so those skills that you developed back in medical school, writing and that humanities kind of specialty, seems like they helped you out in this as well.
Definitely. And they helped me in creating Women in White Coats. I don't know if I mentioned that to you.
I was going to ask. Yeah, please tell us more.
So at the end of my fellowship, I launched the first book, The Chronicles of Women in White Coats. And from there, we created a community of women doctors from all over the country. And our goal is to help uplift and empower them. So we do that through, at first it was through just the book. Now we do it through wellness and empowerment coaching. And then I also teach people how to do media.
So let's circle back to the Chronicles of Women in White Coats. Mm-hmm. Tell me about this. It's a book?
It is a book. So yes, so it's a book series, and it talks about different stories that women doctors have experienced, their life experiences, because what I was interested in was trying to figure out, okay, if what I'm experiencing is normal as a woman doctor, or is this something that we just don't talk about enough and everybody's experiencing it on their own?
Yeah.
And so it's more of, we don't talk about stuff. We're in our own different silos, but all of us can be suffering by ourselves. All of us may have some ideas that may be brewing that we're not sure if they will actually come to fruition. There are different things that I noticed, imposter syndrome coming up, and people are having those things and experiencing those things on their own. And it causes more depression and anxiety and things like that. So I wanted to know what the true story was. I watched Grey's Anatomy, okay? And I knew after going through medical school that was not the case. In residency, that was not the case. So what was it really like to be a woman in a white coat? And so that has really blossomed and really became a nice, safe space and community for women doctors.
Gotcha. And it's a broader organization as well?
Mm-hmm. Yes. If you go to womeninwhitecoats.com, we have a blog there, we have a podcast there, and our coaching programs as well. So all about making sure women doctors know that they're wonderful and that they have a group of women behind them, cheering them on all along the way. So that's what we do.
Fantastic. And this was coming on the heels of your fellowship, and you have since returned to Rochester and gotten plugged into the kind of educational pipeline and seeing patients. Yes.
So now I am core faculty at a family medicine program associated with Rochester Regional Health. They recruited me back, y'all. Yeah.
They weren't going to let you leave.
I know, right? Let's see. Yeah, I negotiated that too. But so I'm back doing that. So working with residents and also medical students. And I'm also the director for diversity and equity and inclusion for the Graduate Medical Education Office. So all of this kind of comes full circle because my passion has always been diversity in medicine. I've done research in diversity in medicine, and, being a part of Women in White Coats and being able to advocate for more women, that's been a part of everything that I'm doing as well. So my goal is to make sure that we have minorities here within the program, but also that we have a great pipeline within the Rochester community. And then hopefully we have some more Xavierites who come here too. And just in general, more minorities. So just paving the way for that.
Shout out all the Xavier folks. I'll get you a coat and some winter boots as well.
Well, I was Miss Xavier at Xavier University. I was that.
So,
Either way.
so Dr. Robbins, you mentioned advocating for women. I think that's so important, obviously. But
Mhm.
to that end, you also created Sanxtuary, that's SANXTUARYMD. And this company is committed to empowering women of all ages, creating a community of women who are confident about their bodies, feel educated, and are inspired to make a difference in the world. Talk to us about Sanctuary.
Yes. So I am so excited about this for sure, because this has been a brainchild since, well, a part of it came when I was, let's say, in middle school. And then another part came when I was in residency. No, medical school. Medical
Wow.
school. See, I get them mixed up because I've been in Rochester. So, I had to think about where I was living when I had the idea. But yes, so Sanctuary MD first starts with our first products line is having a panty that keeps the pad in place, as well as it's leak resistant. So for me and a lot of women, we go through different types of periods. For me, more so because of fibroids, I have heavy periods. So it wasn't uncommon that I would have hard days where I would be concerned about leaking. And being a family doctor, I thought at first, okay, well, it's just me. Maybe if I start talking to some people, maybe no, this is a concern for a lot of women. And a part of that also is that people don't know what's normal versus what's abnormal. And I found myself in a lot of conversations talking about that. So Sanctuary MD is all about that. So we don't just provide the panty or the support that women need or deserve during that special time of the month. We also talk about what are things that are normal versus abnormal. Is vaginal discharge? He's over here like, oh, I don't know what is vaginal discharge. Y'all can't see his face. He's like a blank face.
My face is very professional right now.
Right.
Continue, Dr. Robbins.
So we talk about vaginal discharge. We talk about heavy periods. We teach. What I'm super excited about is that we have what is called a first period kit. So it teaches young girls about puberty and what to expect during that stage. So it's all about educating and then providing the resource. So I'm so excited about this because it's literally, I really think that this is a part of why I was put in the position that I was put in, with bringing the media side. And teaching, and then also bringing the business side together, and then also bringing my creative side, of design, because we're actually patent pending, with the technology that we have to keep the pad in place. So I am so excited about this. Nervous, but excited about launching the new product.
No, you're excited. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's how we first connected online, was you talking about this new product, which again is huge and clearly needed. As you may have mentioned this before, but tell me about the My Period University. I think that's something that.
Yes. So that's where we will be doing a lot of the teaching about different things that go on with women. And what I know it will do is it will empower women to be able to take charge of their bodies and to know what's going on. So we'll talk about, like I said, vaginal discharge, about, okay, what's the difference between a UTI and having a vaginal infection? Because that question, I don't know if it comes up as much in anesthesia, but it definitely
not too frequently. But
it definitely comes up in clinic. Like, oh, I don't know. Or even when it comes to like how to honestly, like what birth control to use, or if you should use a pad versus a tampon. So it's really kind of going into those conversations that I would have on a regular basis with a patient one-to-one. But it's putting it in a broader scale. So that's what My Period University is, really teaching about those different things in a fun way, because I have to have fun. If it ain't fun, I don't want to do it.
I heard that.
So, yeah. And then we also have a part of that, a career queens. So that is a part of My Period University. And what that does is it exposes young girls to various women who are doing different things within science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And that is my way of doing some role modeling and to hopefully do some mentoring so that we can get more women doing these various different things that maybe traditionally we haven't done. My mom is an engineer, so I would love to see more women in engineering. And of course, I would love to see more. Well, we're taking over medicine. Women are.
Yeah.
But just knowing, having young girls know that they can do that. And not only young girls, even women who are doing it and are feeling isolated. I just like to bring people together and support them.
Absolutely. Well, I can't imagine how it feels to be at that age and go through all these changes. So thankfully, you're developing this program to really help folks at that vulnerable point in their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The hope is that it can support. I mean, I'm all about that, uplifting and empowering not only women. I feel like I do that for people who I meet, but specifically for young women. So yeah, it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. It's very different. I'm trying to figure out where to get your things manufactured and how to put together things, and is this product up to snuff of what you want to go out? But it's been a fun experience, and I know this is just the beginning of so much more.
How did you coordinate your website and branding? Because your website is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. So I love color, so there's a lot of color there. And then I also, kind of lean on people to coach me as well. So I've had my own coaches on how to do this. What are the right next steps? Because honestly, I don't want to make too many mistakes. I know I'm going to make mistakes, but the bar is high. Whenever I put my name on something, I want it to be the best it can be. And so for branding, with my media background, I've learned to be able to brand myself in a way. And then I also have a team who I'm able to send certain things and say, okay, is this on par? And what do you think? And friends, family to be able to give me feedback. So that's the way that I do. And yeah, what I do with Women in White Coats is branding. So I teach people how to brand themselves. So
looking at StephenBradleyMD.com, I might need to learn some of that branding from you. So
okay. Well, hey, we know each other now. So
yeah,
there you go.
Don't compare these websites. So the Sanxtuary website is SanxtuaryMD.com. You can go there to learn about Sanxtuary MD and My Period University, including this amazing product, the Period Panty, that Dr. Robbins has created.
Yay, I'm so excited. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Robbins, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, and we've covered so much ground. What would you say to folks that are interested in pursuing further education or training in this health and media niche that you fulfill?
Mm-hmm. First, don't be afraid of it. A lot of journalists that I've talked to over the years, they're very eager to get more doctors to really tell them about what's important or what patients should know about. So reaching out is so key. So don't be afraid to do that. You can also contact me. I would be happy to help you through that journey because I know even that can be isolating. But just do it. Like I tell those who I coach, those who I've worked with over the years, don't think, just do. And so if you continue to do that, if that's something that's in your heart to do, then just reach out to people and start doing it. You have YouTube, you have your own Facebook, you have, Twitter, you have Instagram, TikTok. Just do it.
Just do it. I think Nike has... You might want some money for that.
Okay, don't think, just do it. How about that?
Oh, there we go. Love it. And for those interested in the Chronicles of Women in White Coats, tell them how they can get plugged in and what they can gain from that resource.
Sure. So first, you can go to womeninwhitecoats.com. There like I said before, you can see our blog there. We actually have a conference that's coming up in the spring. So I'm excited about that. It will be in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so you can see us in person there, or you can join us for our different coaching programs. So we have our empowerment and wellness program coming up in January. And then each year we open the doors to see about women being in the Chronicles of Women in White Coats. So that will be coming up in the summer of 2022, where we'll open the doors and start doing our interviews.
Fantastic. And then anything else that you want to add about Sanxtuary MD?
Yes. So we will be launching Sanxtuary MD in January 2022. So it is going to be an exciting time. And I just want y'all to support me. Like, this is just something out of this is something very different than what I normally do.
I'll buy one out of solidarity. How about that?
Yeah, come on. Yeah, that would be great. I would appreciate that. And to tell your patients about it, your family members about it, because, this is an important space that I want more of us to step into, and I want to be able to open doors in this way as well. So, support me. That would be great.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Robbins, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Thank you for everything that you've shared and everything you're going to continue to do. We'll definitely keep an eye on in the future, because representation matters.
Yes. Very much. And not only representation, but representation where you're sitting at the table and making the decisions, that matters too.
Here we go. I said MBA speaking.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
It's important. Of course. Thank you.
The Black Doctors Podcast is a nonprofit, volunteer passion project with the goal of inspiring all who listen. If you enjoy listening, tell a friend about the show or share a link on social media. We are a small team and can use all the help we can get. You can reach us at the Black Doctors Podcast on Instagram, or at Stephen Bradley MD on Twitter or Instagram. Tune in next week for another episode of the Black Doctors Podcast, because representation matters.